Good morning, business builders, and welcome to Business for Breakfast, where business is the most important middle of the day. I'm your host, Aaron Novinger. On today's show, we're going to unpack the top business news, and we're going to sprinkle in some tips and tricks to help you mind your own business. Now, I know why you're all here, and it's for the morning mark. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. What is it? Let me tell you what it is. No prompts required, no drinks, no gear, just you and a functioning brain. We'll work with what we've got. Wherever you are, desk, truck, kitchen, job site, standing or sitting, it does not matter. Pick one thing you will finish today, not 10, not a list, just one. 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 Now, mark it mentally. That's the line in the sand. That's the thing that doesn't get erased. This is the pause that sharpens the edge, the moment that turns noise into signal, the tiny act that makes business owners dangerous in a good way. That, my friends, is your morning mark. Your day has officially started. Now, let's dive in, shall we? Wonderful. We have so much to dive into this morning. There is a ton of business news for us to talk about. All right. But let's talk about probably the top thing. Okay. When I say the top thing, it is one of the very first things that I saw this morning. And in the news, Mr. Beast is featured in the Wall Street Journal talking about one of the scariest moments of being alive or being buried alive for 7 days. Okay. And he was being interviewed, I think, by Jimmy Donaldson. And kind of what inspired to become a YouTuber and everything. And I'll tell you something. This was like last year, and you guys know I've got to be drinking my Tulsi tea. So you will hear me do that quite often. All right. Now, what there was last year, I saw an interview with Jimmy, Mr. Beast, and I forgot Millionaire Mindset. I forgot which podcast it was. Okay, so don't hold me to that, but I know it was Jimmy being interviewed. And one of the things that if you go ever watch him being interviewed and talk about his success, he'll talk about pretty often the secrets, and part of that, you will get so much inspiration from hearing Jimmy talk. And one of the things that I have to admit that probably got me the most excited about what he said. And you've heard this before, you know, um, if you get promoted, like a lot of times you'll see companies or organizations say, "Hey, find your replacement." Hire your replacement. And what they're saying is go find somebody like you. Let's get him in here and get him trained so we can get you promoted, right? That's typically something you'll see with healthy organizations. But Jimmy's take is kind of different. And I actually like Jimmy's take a lot. And Jimmy's take is um, go clone yourself. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's Star Wars. I don't know what it is, but there's just something about the word cloning. I don't know, man. Cloning. I don't get it. But I love it because it just makes me think of, don't go hire a replacement. This means find somebody that's exactly like you and then make them exactly like you. I don't know. It just hits different for me. And so the older I get, the more I realize those tiny little phrases like that, those reframes, um, I don't know. They just kind of they hit different. And so kind of let that be a reframe, and I don't know, encouragement for you guys. You as a business owner, that's who we're talking to. You are the mom and pop venti shop owner. This show is for you. And more than likely, I'm just going to roll the dice here and say that there's a probability the majority of you guys are stressed and don't know what to do and how to do because you're doing everything. You're the bottleneck in your small business. And if you're the bottleneck, it's time for you to start cloning your replacement, right? And doesn't mean you're going to be replaced out of the business, but we've got to start cloning you so that way this new clone can be taught and trained how to make decisions for you like you, right? Such a big one. It's a big one. So that's why I kind of want to put that kind of on the top because to me that was a big deal. Gary V's in the news, and here he was talking about nothing matters to me more than making sure the next generation understands the patience, commitment, positivity, and practicality that is required to have a fruitful, meaningful career. There's so many ways for individuals to start building their careers. And I'll tell you something. You guys know that years ago, I was in ministry. And when I was in ministry, I have to tell you that um, when I got called into ministry in 2006, I got called into ministry by my mentor, Louis. And Louis was one of those guys, I always call him my Hispanic Latino Jesus. Speaks in parables. This guy speaks in parables, right? And so we were hanging out, and about 2 or 3 years into ministry, I was feeling like I wanted to do more of the weekend stuff, and less of the practice. And I took my mentor to lunch, and we went to lunch, and we sat down, and I said, Louis, I want to do more of ministry, and less of running the practice. And he said, when I first got in ministry years ago, I was struggling with the same thing. And he said, my mentor gave me the best definition of ministry I've ever heard. He said, don't think of ministry as in what you do on the weekend. First of all, Jesus did no ministering in the church. He said, think of ministry in its purest form as simply helping people suffer less, simply helping people suffer less. And what I realized is and actually, Louis is the one that told me, because Louis, like me, being bivocational, and he still is today. He's a registered nurse, and he's pastoring a church in Northern Cali, in the Fresno area. And it was really crazy because he said, after my mentor told me that, what I realized is what I do in the hospital was more ministry than what I did in the weekend. And I realized what we do in the practice is more ministry than what I was doing on the weekend. And that is the secret for you finding meaning in what you do. Okay. So the majority of us wake up every day um, for the ultimate dollar bill as our satisfaction, and that is pleasure. Okay. Think of pleasure as a rice cake. But if you wake up every day and if you run a service based business, this is a piece of cake for you, because if you do, then it makes it very easy to wake up every day and say, what I do, I help my customers suffer less. That is my only job here. I provide a product or service that helps my customers suffer less. That is what we do at our accounting firm. We do small business accounting. It's why we exist. It's to help our small business owners suffer less. If you're the dry cleaner, if you're the gas station, whatever it is, it's so easy to put a purpose around it. So think of pleasure as the rice cake and purpose as the steak. Okay. Pleasure as the rice cake and purpose as the steak. So when I hear about nothing matters more from Gary Vee than making sure the next gen understands the patience, commitment, and positivity and practicality that's required to have a fruitful, meaning career, I would just add one more to thing to what Gary Vee is saying. And this generation that's working today doesn't want to work for money. They want to work for a reason. They want to work for purpose, right? In the news, Domino's Pizza, their shares jumped Monday after fast food veteran Meryl Perea was appointed as the company's new chief executive officer for Australia and New Zealand. Domino's, for the last, I think, 20 years, um, has openly discussed that they are not a pizza company. They are a technology company, and their product happens to be pizza. That's a big deal, man. That happens to be something that, if you can look at your company from that point of view, like that mechanical point of view, where everything is a system and a process, and it's like, no, I don't offer dry cleaning. I am a service-based company, and my product or service happens to be dry cleaning. You see what I'm saying? If you can have that mindset, I think that really does change a lot. And to be honest with you, after and that was probably, I think I was around age 30, so, or 2009, so 19, 20, 25 years ago. So 34-ish, that's kind of when that all happened. And honestly, since then, I have not worked for a dollar bill in, what is that, 15, 20 years. And I'm telling you, it's not that money's not important, but struggling with the emptiness that you have when you wake up every day, the paycheck won't fill it. The people you hang out with at work won't fill it. Purpose fills it. Let's move on. I've got a, retweet from Chamath, which, by the way, if you ever listen to any podcast ever of the smartest guys on planet Earth, you've got to dial into the All In Pod. These are the four smartest gentlemen on planet Earth. And by the way, here's kind of a good rule of thumb. If anything that you are thinking about and you've got a mindset, if there are people that you know are way smarter than you and their opinion is different, I'm not saying they're right and you're wrong. What I am saying is they have a different lens looking at the world that you don't, and they have access to information and resources that you don't. So typically, if I have a position and one of these guys says something, yep, that's it. I take their position until new information comes in that kind of helps change me. Can change my mind, right? And so I think that's something for you guys to kind of think about. And I got Chamath just because anytime I see these guys, you know, and that I pin them, but also they're discussing the ultra wealth tax that is being proposed in California, which, if you guys don't know, they're kind of talking about proposing and putting on a bill to vote on taxing the ultra wealthy. And I believe it's billionaires, a billion or more. And they're looking at a 5% wealth tax. But the difficult thing to kind of understand, and the All In Pod guys did a great job of discussing this in the last show, was let's just use it, the Google boys, LPSP, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, right? So LPSP. Well, but what California is talking about is not necessarily their on paper wealth and taxing it 5%, but also tying it directly to their voting shares. And you guys know that LPSB have approximately 52% voting rights at Alphabet, right? Google's parent. And because of that, they're kind of talking about a 5% tax, but it's actually, think about it like this, the company's valued just under 4 trillion. So let's just say it's 4 trillion because it's easy math, right? But if they have 52%, that means that they're calculating their net worth at just over 2 trillion, or around, let's say, $2 trillion. And which means that 5% of that, what is that? 2 trillion. I mean, 10% is what? 200 billion. So half of that, 100 billion. But I think their actual net worth, if you look, is like 100, 200 billion, something like that. It's not, so quite literally, you're talking about their net worth being cut by, a minimum 25%, so that's why it's always like real, you got to be real careful about this type of stuff. And you're starting to see, and if I'm telling you, if this makes it on the bill to be voted on, I think you're going to see an exodus of money leave California that you've never seen. And I think it will be in direct proportion to the opposite of the gold rush that we saw in the 1800s. I think you'll see that as the exodus leaving California, because you saw small business during COVID, hundreds of thousands of them got shut down. You saw them leave. Okay, cool. But the billionaires, those guys, that hurts. And so I think if it makes, I think you're going to see some serious stuff here. But I'm going to go ahead and take a quick little, just a quick little 2-minute break here, and talk to you small business owners. Okay, so you as a small business owner, I know if you're listening to this show, something is to be true with you. You're making important decisions alone, and that's expensive. Okay. One of the biggest advantages any business owner can have is being part of a peer advisory group. Okay. This is not a networking club. It's not a mastermind full of noise. It's a real room of business owners. Think of it as your own personal board that help you think clearly, avoid those blind spots, and help you make better decisions, right? So we run peer advisory groups specifically for our mom and pop Venti shop owners who want clarity, accountability, and fewer costly mistakes. If you need help right now with your small business for accounting, structure, cleanup, we do that too. So if you've got questions about peer advisory groups, by the way, you don't have to be a client to be in one of our peer advisory groups. But if you need help with anything, obviously for almost 60 years, we've done small business accounting, payroll, and business consulting. And so I don't want you guys having to think that you've got to do this alone. So if you have questions, you want to be answered, or if you guys want to talk to me particularly, you can go to speakwithaaron.com and schedule a quick call that goes directly to my scheduling calendar. Or if you have questions, or if you want to learn a bit more about us, go to businessforbreakfastradio.com. You can submit a question. I'll reply to that, or I'll actually read it on the air. So remember, you don't have to run your business alone, but you do have to decide to stop running your business alone. Peer advisory groups help you think better and move faster. Our philosophy for over 50 years, and the way we'll be in business 20 years from now, is to make sure that you are still in business 20 years from now. Remember, speakwithaaron.com, businessforbreakfastradio.com. If you need help with anything accounting or peer advisory groups, make sure to go there and give us a shout. Back into the news, shall we? Okay, back into it. Let's talk about copper. And I'll tell you something. This was actually in the news yesterday, or over the weekend, but that is actually one of the big predictions going into 2026 is the need for copper. And you guys know this is not and is never an investment show. And I do not make any investment advice. I don't have those licenses. And to be honest, the guys that do that are amazing at what they do. But I will tell you that there's some big guys out there making copper a big prediction for 2026. So keep that in the back of your mind. All right. In the news, Elon Musk envisions a future where retirement savings are obsolete. Says, don't worry about squirreling away money for retirement. Now, what is he talking about? Just a universal wealth because of the efficiency of robots. And you guys know, everybody thinks that Tesla is the robot king. And my personal opinion, I believe that they will be, especially when it comes to full service limb, mobility robots. I think that they are going to destroy everybody just on the production that they're putting out. But Amazon last week in the news just hit the 1 millionth robot that they deployed. So what you're seeing with Amazon is they kind of are plateauing on the amount of employees they're hiring, but you're seeing them deploy more robots. And I think that's what you're going to end up seeing in the end anyway, is more of something like that, where you've got somebody that is working the robots, So eventually you'll have an HVAC guy that comes to your house to install a unit. Instead of it being him and a few of his buddies, it's him and a couple robots, and they show up and he's directing a robot. Okay, go to the truck, get this tool XYZ, tells the other one, I want you to grab this and I want you to snake the line, whatever it is, And so, I think it's going to be that. And so I think what you're seeing with Elon is there's going to be such deployment of robotics that universal income and universal wealth is going to be standard. Here's my thing though. For doing retirement planning for 20 years, I have to tell you, I've seen time and time again, high level, aerospace engineers retiring, and they're having this mindset of that they want to go get 5 acres next to the lake, and that neighbor's a mile away that way, and that neighbor's a mile away that way, and they're sit by on the back porch, rocking in the rocking chair, sipping lemonade. Within a few years, the brain starts to go, and it's one of the saddest things to see. But I'm telling you, to me, and I don't think you'll find this anywhere in history, about a date on the calendar where you stop being active, right? So retirement really for you should be, pick a day on the calendar, and from this day forward, you work because you want to, not because you have to. Okay, so do that. Pick the day on the calendar, and from that day forward, you're working because you want to, not because you have to, but keep working. So I think that's basically what Elon is saying is, yes, keep using the body, the brain, the body, right? Because in the end, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it, and we don't want to lose it, right? All right. What else is in the news? Bloomberg, what are they saying? Pope Leo may appear mild-mannered, but he's still an absolute monarch, and he's been cleaning house in the Vatican. What is Pope Leo bringing in his own Doge? I tell you, man, that dude, when I saw him, you have to understand, not today, I'm not Catholic, but I was raised Catholic. And I tell you, that was growing up, Pope John Paul, you can't grow up Catholic and not know that dude was your boy. He was your boy. Okay, so I'm telling you right now, this latest Pope, he's the Catholic's boy. I really dig this dude, man. He's a cool guy, man. So it doesn't surprise me he's cleaning house. All right. The Wall Street Journal is reporting new shows that are taking some top shows from the Golden Globes, and a couple of those, The Pit and Adolescence. And I've heard that I've heard of The Pit. I haven't heard of Adolescence. I'm going to go check them out because you know how it is. We suffer from basically, paralysis by analysis because we have too many stinking TV shows on, right? So the amount of TV shows that we have on, no bueno, but that's okay. But I tell you, I've heard The Pit is really good. So that's going to be one of the shows that we put on our little watch list. But I will tell you a show that we are loving and we love come out every single time. So every week we're waiting on the next episode. Number one, we're waiting on every week for the latest episode of Landman, which growing up, being born in the 70s, growing up in the 80s, the show Dallas was on every week. Okay. So Landman is like our version today of Dallas. Very, very cool show. All right. The other one is Beast Games. If you've ever seen a TV show, Beast Games is going to blow your mind. You got to go check out Beast Games. It'll blow your mind. All right. Can we move into Bloomberg? They're talking about, whenever time you hear about director Bill Pulte in the news, this guy is an assassin. Okay. We're talking Bill Pulte from Pulte Homes. Okay. I think he knows a thing or two about real estate. I think he knows a thing or two about affordable housing. And he's actually spearheading a subpoena from kind of for the DOJ into I guess, really the Federal Reserve about how they're building out the new Federal Reserve building. And that's coming mainly from the House Finance Agency Director, Bill Pulte. So very, very cool. Very cool. Something else in the news today that looks like Chamath posted on X. Reposted from Taylor Budowich. Over the last decade, California's spending overall has doubled while its population has stayed flat. The state's education budget has doubled while the number of students has declined. And I think that's one of the things you're seeing today that you didn't, really ever see before. A lot of times states just have this mindset and they really, I don't know. To me, it's like you read about those old kingdoms where the king never left the castle. And so you've got this castle and everybody that was appointed to oversee the village, but they've never gone and hung out with the people in the village. And so you've got these individuals and they literally, they have no idea what the peasants in the village are going through. And I think that's what you have here is you've got so many individuals that have been so isolated living in the castle on the hill that they have no idea what us peasants are going through because they don't. Okay. Especially us mom and pop venti shops. Let's be honest. Okay. Well, Forbes came out with their highest paid musicians list. Let's see. What is that list? What's on this list? I'm looking at it for you as we're looking at it together. Let's see. I think I have an idea on who number one is. I'm just looking for a list here. What? No way. Okay, this is going to blow your mind, your face, and your head right off. Okay, so I just clicked on the highest paid musicians for 2025. Now, I know, like that you don't have to be a fan, but you all know you were all thinking Swiftie, right? I'm a huge Swizzle fan, okay? And so I was like, for sure, by a mile, number one. No. The Weeknd. Yeah, yeah. 2025 earnings, $298 million. The Weeknd. By the way, went to that concert a few years ago. It was my daughter's birthday present, I think in like 2017. No, 2020, but they had to cancel because of COVID, and it took a couple years to get into it. That concert was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Number two is T-Swizzle, $202 million. Number three, which blows my mind, and I still can't believe it, that this cat is relevant. And by the way, I'm not saying she's amazing because